Coming up on Dr. Cliff Worldwide Vet, the crew and I meet up with Jan and Steph of the Jamaican Cave Organization and hike to the St Clair Cave, the only place on this entire planet where one can find the very rare and extremely endangered Jamaican greater funnel-eared bat. You are watching Dr. Cliff Worldwide Vet. Welcome to Jamaica.
We brought some food and water and obviously sprays and whatnot. What should we bring with us?
That's mostly going to be it. You got to change clothes when you get back?
Yes.
So you can come in
Most of us.
Yeah.
Most of us.
I had somehow envisioned a relaxing hike followed by an adventurous and relaxing trek into a cave, but we were all in for a surprise, albeit a pleasant one. While we were taking a break from the craziness of the JSBCA, I had left Julia and Ariane back in Kingston, and at this moment, they were likely working frantically saving puppies and kittens. Karma was going to teach me a lesson today. From the get-go, Jan warned me that the hike would be hot and sticky, the river crossing difficult, the water kind of gross, and let us not forget, and I quote Jan, the fuckload of mosquitoes. But he promised we would see a ton of bats.
Just with your center of gravity high with that camera up on your shoulder.
Yeah, it's just that it's so tricky walking. You can see how
it's
all underwater.
We agree.
Looks
We don't
just
have
like
any
this.
packs
Looks
for
just
it.
like this. So it's just very, very slow going, 1 foot at a time, 1 foot at a time.
We should get you like a walking stick or something.
Yeah.
We will be walking through a stew of cockroach and bat feces, and if we complained or spoke ill of the cave in any way, we risked the wrath of the magical and mysterious cave duppies. However, being a lifelong fan of Dungeons & Dragons, I couldn't wait to experience this adventure. And besides, if a certain well-known TV chef prima donna could handle trekking this cave back in 2007, so could I. But if I whine and complain as much as he did, though, the cave duppies have my permission to do their worst.
And then we get the hillside like this to climb.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Well, we're not doing bad. We set off at 20 to 11. And it's 20 past 12. We've been going 40 minutes. Not bad at all.
normally it's 30.
20 after.
20 after. And we left at 20 to 11.
When it's 20 after 11?
Yep.
I said 20 past 12.
No, 11.
No, I
Get back.
Oh, no, I
misunderstood
counted
it.
wrong.
I misunderstood it. And the left nostril has better filtration than the right. That's true.
Of course.
You don't know that shit.
It was diagnosed, and since then we've known what it was. You can get it at beaches.
What are duppies?
Ghosts.
Spirits.
Oh, cave spirits. All right.
There's two varieties. There's like, your dead Uncle Andy, and then there's the elemental spirits that live in like cotton trees and caves and stuff
Alright.
like that. We give them a roam every once in a while. They don't
gonna
trouble
say.
us.
Much like the Galapagos Islands off the coast of Ecuador, this cave is sort of like its own ecological island, unique to other caves nearby. They estimate approximately 50,000 bats call this cave home, but we are more interested specifically in the greater funnel-eared bat, a rare and extremely endangered species that numbers only in the few hundreds. They theorize that over the last 10,000 years or so, it slowly changed and evolved into its own species, and for whatever reason it has not been found in any other cave anywhere on the island or the entire world.
So are the funnel-eared bats the only bats here?
No, it's a whole bunch. Not sure of the total number of species. We've got, the two fruit bats here. Artibius jamaicensis, the big one, roosts in caves, and the small one, Iridius, which doesn't. And, they'll use echolocation for navigation, but they don't have to, they don't use it for hunting fruit.
Yeah. So tell us about these giant-eared bats. So there's only a couple hundred of them.
Yeah, and they're only known to be in this cave right here. But as far as known right now, this is the only
This
roost.
is it.
But there hasn't been a whole lot of work done specifically looking for them, but
Right.
it's hard to understand why they would only be in this one cave, If the conditions are suitable in other caves, it's postulated that they like hot, humid caves, with other caves like that around. So,
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? And what's the main problem with these guys surviving or thriving?
Well, right now we got usually a pretty good population of feral cats in here.
Right.
And you'll see their feces at least. We very possibly will come across one or two of them while we're in here. Now, these Natlus jamaicensis, they have been observed to roost on the walls fairly low down, within a meter or two.
All right.
And they're within grabbing
Cat can
range for
jump.
cats. And,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And they're not that
the
big.
cats are the biggest threat. The cats need to be gotten
Right.
out of here at some point.
And as cute as cats are, I mean, these aren't house cats that are cuddly.
You
These
see
are
these
feral,
cats, they're not all that cute.
feral assassins.
Yeah.
And cats are not supposed to be in Jamaica. These are an invasive
No.
species.
What we would also experience is the fear of histoplasmosis, a serious fungal infection of the lungs. We also worried about cutaneous larval migrans, which is a parasite found in the soil that basically burrows into your skin and forms infected and itchy pustules. There would be fungal gnats flying in the air, foul, humid air with declining oxygen levels, climbing carbon dioxide levels, and the risk of breathing in hydrogen sulfide.
Now, feeding grounds in there. We have to do something in here, Steph.
It's a Pteranodus quadratensor macleayi here.
Yeah, it's the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, it is. The feces from the
Yeah.
cats.
Yeah.
We never had that in here a few years ago.
No, man.
And this is heavy, heavy.
Bat.
Look at all the dead bats, Steph. Those are all last
Yeah.
night's kills. There. Look, guys, the cats must be around here. I mean, they don't go in and out. They're probably hiding in the rocks here. We may have to do some eliminating while we're here, Steph.
If possible.
Yeah, let's, probably should do it now. If we see him and we can hit him with a rock hard enough the first time or something, but Jesus, man, look at this scat.
Yeah.
I mean, there's pounds of bats getting eaten every night.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Pounds of bats.
dozens, hundreds.
Because the cat population is growing. Look at this scary. It gets muddy and slippery here, guys. So just watch out. He looks very dehydrated.
What's he doing this for?
Something's wrong with him, but see how the light isn't running, and look how shriveled up the interfemoral membrane is.
Yeah, by the
He may
tail.
be sick, or he may have been injured by a cat.
Yeah.
We're not going to trouble him. We'll just leave him be.
More mops, the Antillean ghostface bat, they are
Those are the masters of
species that
flight.
usually roosts the furthest into a cave. So right on the outer part. is
Now look at
usual
if you
spot
look at
where
the
they-
face now, you see the cavities. Those are his ears. His eyes are stuck back in there. He is one of those. He is the agile, the fighter jet of the insectivores. And so he's got those huge cavities there for the echolocation. Very, very intense, very acute. And his eyes are stuck deep back in there. You can actually see them when you hold him.
Oh yeah.
See him?
The little black.
And if you look at the face now, notice the lips and the teeth. He's an incredible little creature. He looks very dehydrated. No, something's wrong with him.
The eyes are the black, like the black pupil.
Mm-hmm. Steph, the scat is incredible.
Yeah, I know.
And dead bats, hell, they're eating crickets too. No, look. Dead crickets. Right here in the feeding ground.
Another dead bat over here.
2 over here, and dead crickets.
We usually see feces.
No, this is incredible, man. The whole here is just lined up with feces. I'm sure we're going to see a cat.
I mean, that head's just, this is like a 3-pound cat. This might only be, I mean, assuming he's sick, or fighting parasites and whatnot, really working hard for his food. He's, normally a 3-pound cat would probably be about 3 months old. This one might be twice that, but this is not a full-grown cat. These canine teeth, they're just like the sharpest daggers in the world. You can't tell on these ones, but like the upper teeth have these vertical lines on them. You can see it with even just a regular house cat. especially after it's a couple years old, because you get a bit of staining. It's these vertical lines, we call them the blood lines. And it's kind of like the old Ginsu knives that had little grooves in them so that the moisture of the tomato doesn't slow down the knife.
Right.
Well, they assume that these blood lines allow the cats to pierce jugulars and be able to pierce even deeper so that the blood, the moisture, has somewhere to escape out of.
and lose
Yeah.
pressure and a quicker kill.
Yeah, I mean, how long would it have taken for this stalactite to form?
Hundreds of years.
Yeah, funny enough, they form in caves, in some caves in Jamaica, they form a lot quicker than you might find in caves in other parts of the world.
Why is that?
The rock is more porous, it's the chemical content, the mineral content, the type of limestone, yeah, how much water there is.
Yeah, a lot more rainfall. Yeah, well, the rainwater is slightly acidic.
What is this?
Limestone.
What is this? Cliff. What is this?
As soon as you drop down to this level, the air changes.
Yeah,
You get the bad air, you get the ammonia.
Well, there's something is going on, man. Look at all the dead bats in the water here. We've never seen dead bats in the water here. All over here. Here's another feeding ground here. Look at the cat claw marks on the rock there. You know what, Steph? Listen, man. You know, maybe it's not the cats. I'm hoping we don't have white nose or some shit.
Yeah, I know.
White nose.
White nose is the biggest kill-off of bats in North America ever recorded, and it started about 10 years ago, and it's going now, it's up into Canada, and it's now come down into the southeastern states, and just appeared over in one of the western states. The bats are dying off by the millions. They call it the white nose syndrome because it's a fungus that affects them, usually hibernating ones, and they don't have the energy, they have to fight something to breed up. There is a lethal killer of bats that has come out about 10 or 11 years ago. It was first discovered, and it's been called the white nose syndrome. This fungus, they call it the white nose syndrome because during hibernation the bats, they die off or they get very weak and they notice a white fungus around the nose of the afflicted bats. So it's very serious. We have a protocol now for visiting areas that have white nose syndrome about who's allowed in the caves, and for the disinfection process of anything that you carry into a cave, including yourself, gear, shoes, clothing, equipment, whatever there's a certain procedure you have to go through to clean it. Some caves have been blocked off completely to the public. No public allowed inside. They're working on it, and I'm sure they're going to break it, but it has caused catastrophic damage to bat populations all over North America. And we have to watch for it here in the Caribbean. So if we catch any bats, what we're going to want to do is to immediately put them in a bag.
Okay.
For his safety and protection, and for ours. And then if we catch them, we just pull the string and we can collect 4 or 5, and then we come and do processing and go through them.
Take a look at it. Okay.
Oh, we were talking about echolocation earlier. So the bat emits a sound, it bounces off the object and comes back, and they can do this hundreds of times a second at very high frequencies. A bat detector, which is just an ultrasonic recorder, it detects sound waves that human ears can't hear, higher frequencies that we can't. So if the bats are emitting, this one here now has a scale from 10 to 200 kilohertz, and so
Does this agitate them at all?
no, it's just a microphone. It's just a microphone.
Can you use this to determine species?
You in
Or-
certain
or groupings?
Well, no, yes you can. Heterodan will do it. In other countries where they don't have as many bats and stuff, and where the bats aren't as, what's the word?
Like variable.
Their frequency can be a lot lower or a lot higher than we get here. Yeah, you can pick out in other places, people can tell by, you know, in 50, click, 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 the pattern of the bat.
On the next episode of Dr. Cliff Worldwide Vet, the hours of hiking, trekking, and climbing pay off as the team is able to net themselves a handful of bats. But will they be lucky enough to catch the extremely rare Jamaican giant funnel-eared bat? And almost as important, will everyone get out with their fingers intact?